am going to try and revive my kombucha. I have let this sit way too long. Yeah, it's from March 4th, so it's been like 6 weeks. It is definitely now kombucha vinegar, but there's still some things that I can do with it. So most of this I'm just going to jar up for vinegar. You can use it the same as vinegar. It might not be quite as strong as like your 5% apple cider vinegar, so I don't think I would key in with it, but there's still lots of things that I can do with it. But I'm going to put 2 cups back to make some more raw kombucha and try out some coffee kombucha for the first time. I have saved back a bunch of my raw apple cider vinegar jars, so I'm just going to jar up the rest of this, store it in my cabinet, and mark it as kombucha vinegar, and we'll see what all I get to do with it. Y'all, this even looks like vinegar. This is kombucha vinegar. This is the Kirkland apple cider vinegar, and it looks the same. That's crazy. Okay, so I've got 3 quarts of water in this pot that I'm going to make some strong coffee in. And I'm just going to add 1.5 cups. The recipe I'm looking at calls for 1 to 2 cups, so I'm just going to try something in the middle. And a cup of sugar. Okay, so that's about 3/4. Add another 1/4. And go ahead and whisk that together. Hopefully. I can at least whisk the sugar in. There we go. Kind of mix them together. Okay, and I am going to bring this to a boil and then let it simmer for 20 to 30 minutes. Over here, I've got my tea going. I just have enough tea bags for 1 gallon of tea and 2 cups of water. And I'm gonna let this boil and, set for 5 to 10 minutes. And then I will add it to my kombucha. Another thing I'm going to try fermenting today is some milk kefir. I love kombucha, but Sim loves milk kefir. We're very blessed to have some raw milk right now. So I think I'm just going to reach in, see if I can. Yay! I got the grains. Okay, and I'm only going to do 1 quart this time and see what happens. I don't know if I should put all of these in or just a few of them, but we're going to go with all of them, and it may just ferment faster. I think I'm just going to pour all of this in, and because that's just raw milk that she put it in, and call that good. Go and fill the rest of this up. I believe you get about 3/4 of the volume turns into milk kefir, and like 1/4 of it turns into whey that you separate off, I think. So I'm going to fill that up a little more. I'm going to let this sit for a few days. Just loosely put the lid on, not tighten it too tight, and see what happens. Okay, this has been sitting for a few minutes. It is very hot. You wouldn't want to put your raw kombucha or kombucha vinegar in with it this hot, because it would kill the bacteria in it. So this is cool water that I've just gotten from our sink. We're blessed to have pretty good well water. And I'm just going to strain that off. And I know that there's 2 cups in here. And so I'm only going to add 1 cup of this kombucha vinegar. Normally I would put 2 cups of raw kombucha in there, but since this is so strong, I'm only going to put 1 cup in. and it shouldn't take as long to ferment either. Normally this first fermentation takes like 7 to 10 days. I think this will only take 4 to 5 from what I've read, and so yeah, it should speed things up a little bit. So I'm going to stir this in, just help cool it off. Being careful not to stir my little spigot down here because that can make leaks later on. I'm going to test it. All right, this is room temperature now. This is perfect for the vinegar and for the sugar. Oh boy, I think we're gonna have to take some of that off. Because I also need to stick a SCOBY in there to feed the raw kombucha and help everything ferment. I think that's how the process works. I'm actually not for sure exactly how it works, but it's something like that. I'm gonna pull one of these out. It's my little SCOBY hotel, and pop that in there, put a paper towel and a rubber band on it, mark it, and just... Alright, so I've got the sugar, the kombucha, or I should say the kombucha vinegar, the SCOBY, and black tea, and stirred it all together. Now I like to set it up here on top of my, or above my stove, because that's the warmest place in my house right now. And we'll just let that set for, like I said, 4 to 5 days is when I'll start checking it. And if it needs to go longer, we will let it go longer. Alright, this has been boiling and then simmering for about 20 minutes. But I need to strain off coffee grounds. This is the best way I know to do that right now. Oh, there's some coffee grounds. This is making a decision. Okay. Now I'm going to clean this off and chill it in the fridge until it comes to room temperature. Okay, the rest of this, which is just a bunch of coffee grounds, I'm going to add some cold water to, let it cool off, and put this on my hydrangeas because they love coffee. Okay, I finally finished chilling my coffee. It took a few hours in the fridge and the freezer. I'm gonna add my SCOBY here and my kombucha vinegar instead of raw kombucha, and just cover that loosely with the lid and let it sit for a few days. So I got my milk kefir here. That should be ready in a few days. Tea kombucha and my coffee kombucha. If this coffee kombucha works, I'll get another dispenser like this one because it's much easier to put this in bottles than this is without a funnel. So hopefully both of these will be ready in about 4 or 5 days.